intention that you give yourself permission to finally start losing. That freedom song does come along. march, we sing our songs, we go to the polls and we vote strong. We stand up tall, all in all, we know we never fail, even if we fall. Why? Because we get up again. Why? Because we have an opportunity to make a friend, and not just one where we pretend, but one where we choose authenticity from beginning to end. Not just separate, but equal. No, we belong as one, as a people. As a matter of fact, what I'm talking about is equity. That is something we all deserve. Yes, you, and yes, me. No matter what age, what stage, you deserve to be free and be met with all your essential needs. A prayer for you, a reminder of what's true, that you were innately born with enough, just as you. You didn't need a thing to bring a smile to a face. All you needed was your presence to light up a space. Through colonization, mysteries, we get lost. Through the labor and the dehumanization, we pay a cost. But we have an opportunity to reclaim. Walking and marching on a journey with Martin Luther King and all the rest of our ancestors' names. Thank you, Maxine Mims, for being a living hymn.
Yes, yes.
Breathing through each of us again and again. Incredibly worthy in all of our glory. We transform from chaos to community, from division to our unity.
Ashe.
Wasn't that amazing? You are so dope, sis. Every time. Thank you. All right, we're running a little behind on time, so we are just gonna jump right into it. As folks get a little comfortable, let me just move something real quick. Somebody help a sister out. Can you help me pull this podium this way? We gonna move some chairs out of the way real quick. We family, it's all good. We gonna just do that real fast. All right, so it is now my honor to welcome our keynote speaker. Please help me in welcoming Erin Jones. Erin Jones is a full-time consultant advancing inclusive leadership and systems change. With more than 25 years of experience across education, from classroom teacher and instructional leader to athletic coach, district executive, and assistant state superintendent for student achievement. Her leadership has been recognized nationally and here at home, including being named Washington State Millikan Educator of the Year and a White House Champion of Change. Raised internationally, fluent in 4 languages, and an accomplished athlete, once invited to try out for 2 WNBA teams. Erin brings lived experience, courage, and vision to everything she does. At her core, Erin's work is about building community through equity, connection, and collective purpose. Exactly the question before us today. Please help me welcome Erin Jones.
Thank you. So, just by the way, my friend Charles right here is going to be following me around. He just informed me. So, I'm going to try to not be uncomfortable with him up in my face. Y'all, please don't be either. And know that we know each other well enough, but it's not as awkward as it may be if I was just meeting him for the first time. We have sweat on basketball courts together for many years. But before I talk about Dr. King, I just want to acknowledge the last 3 times that I was in this space. One was to honor one of my mentors, Dr. Mims' last birthday alive. I was here at her birthday party. Remember getting pictures with her right here. The other was to honor Charles with the film that he made about this region. And the most recent was to honor my mother-in-law's homegoing, almost exactly 1 year ago today. We were here to honor, and if you are a long-time Tacoma resident, you probably knew my mother-in-law, Erin Jones. She worked for almost every organization that you could work for in Tacoma, but she started the first after-school latchkey program at McCarver Elementary, and I just want to bring her into this space. She loved Tacoma, she loved this area. She was born in Tacoma General Hospital, and she ended life, she ended in ICU, and then I spent 3 months with her in hospice at Alaska Gardens. But right here, she started here and ended here, and I just want to bring her into this space because she meant a lot to us. So my name is Erin Jones, and as much as I am an educator, this is actually the 36th year that I've worked with young people. I think what's even more important in light of today, honoring Dr. King, I have been delivering speeches about Dr. King for 40 years this week. 40 years. And I want to flash back to my very first school assembly that I did at 14 years old. I was 14 years old in the gymnasium at the American School of The Hague in the Netherlands. Some of you are probably surprised by that. Yes, I speak Dutch. I love messing with people and just showing up as the 6-foot-tall black lady with an afro. Yeah. And I love just messing with people and they're saying, what is that coming out of your mouth? But I remember at 14 years old in 1986, the first year that Dr. King was acknowledged his birthday as a federal holiday. In December of that year, of 1985 actually, I was in English class and the debate teacher came in and I was the only black student in my school. And so she came in and she said, Erin, we're going to be doing a Martin Luther King assembly in January and you're going to do the first speech. This is what happens when you're the one black kid. And you know what my reaction was? Who's Dr. King? But some of y'all young folks have been hearing about Dr. King every year this time. I am not of that generation. I'm 54. We did not have a Dr. King Day every year, and I lived in Europe. And I went to an American school there where we didn't have him in our textbooks yet. And so I remember saying to her, who is that? And she said, well, you better go to the library. And of course, my school library had no books about him either, because it was 1986 in Europe. And so I had to go to the local university, Leiden University, and fortunately they had several books in English about Dr. King, and I will never forget reading about his life and knowing this is the kind of life that I want to live. I'm not trying to die at 39, but I am ready to live like this. And I knew that as a 14-year-old kid reading his story, and I want to back up to my beginning and then jump forward to why his story was so important to me as a 14-year-old. I told you I'm 54. I was born on June 3rd, 1971, in a place you all know right now because of what's happening there, St. Paul, Minnesota. I was born, thank you so much. I worked hard at that. But I was born out of the body of a white woman. And I just learned at 52 from my adopted mom, who's just mom. But my mom decided to text me as I was heading to Seattle to do a speech 2 years ago, via text. She texted me this, honey, I heard you on NPR last night and you're retelling your origin story. And I said, well, I'm only telling the one that I know. She said, oh, didn't we tell you? I guess not. So at 52, I learned that I was the product of an affair between a white woman and a black man. And of course, in 1970, if you found you were pregnant, abortion was not an option. And so my mother had to tell her white husband, I'm about to have a baby and it's not going to be yours and it's going to be really obvious. And her husband gave her an ultimatum, either the baby or me. And she chose him. And she left me in a hospital in St. Paul, Minnesota. The name on my birth certificate for my father is Negro. And the name of my mother is Norwegian woman. And that is what I know about my biological parents. But you know, it's not about the day you begin, it's about what you do with what you're given. And at 3 months old, lying in a crib in a nursery at the Children's Home Society, 2 educators from northern Minnesota, from the Iron Range of northern Minnesota, so white they are clear, showed up in this orphanage, and my father, who right now is in a rehab facility, he broke his hip in June. I have been with him every single day for the last 8 months. I honor my parents, but my father, this clear guy from northern Minnesota, called the Children's Home Society and said, we want to adopt babies that no one wants. Who are the babies no one wants? And the director said, black babies. And my very clear father said, that's who we want then. And my dad tells the story of walking through the nursery and seeing my crib and saying, I choose her. You know, I was chosen by a family. And do you know that their good northern Minnesota parents disowned them that day? Disowned them. Said, why couldn't you just adopt one of ours? Why did you have to adopt one of them? But my father is courageous. And my father decided I'm going to take her to Christmas, and he took me to Christmas when I was 6.5 months old. He combed my afro out with the white people comb. And I had this much hair in a 6-month-old body. And according to my father, my grandfather's immediate response was, oh my gosh, she's so cute, how can we not love her? Of course that was cute. And my grandfather gave the blessing for the Adamson family to love me. And here's the beautiful thing about how God works. Do you know all of us cousins are 6 feet tall or taller? All of us played college basketball. All of us went on to be teachers. All of us have written at least one book, and all of us play instruments and sing. They just cleared. My mom's side of the family, though, was not so kind and welcoming. And as I look at what's been happening over the last few weeks, I haven't wanted to know what they think, actually, if I'm really honest with you, because they've made it pretty clear in the past when George Floyd was murdered. Our message from them was, black people just need to follow the law. That's the message my mom's sister sent her the day after George Floyd was murdered. And my mother lost her mind. And she said, Mom, Erin, you're much better with this stuff. How do I respond to her? I said, you don't. We need to stop giving our energy to people who don't deserve it. But I say all that to say my parents knew by 1976 raising me in Minnesota was not going to work. And so my dad randomly took a teaching job at the American School of The Hague in the Netherlands. Not LA, not New York, not DC, the Netherlands. But here's what would happen for me that would change my life and get me on this trajectory to hear at 14 about this man, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I would go to the United Nations School. Do you know every American president walked the halls of my school building? From Jimmy Carter to George Bush. I hosted Barbara Bush when I was 18 years old. Because her husband happened to be at the UN and she did not want to hang out with old people, so she said, give me kids. And for some reason, Erin was the one that was assigned to Barbara Bush. But even before that, at 9 years old, and this has particular meaning for me today, at 9 years old, my best friend was the Israeli ambassador's daughter. Her name was Yael Ronen. And in October of our 4th grade year in 1980, a bomb went off in her village. And she came to school that day crying, and my heart broke for my friend, and my teacher said the best way to love her is to learn about her. And so I did. I went to the library and I began to read about Israel and Palestine. And a lot of Americans think this thing just started a few years ago. But I remember being a 9-year-old watching my friend from Israel. But it gets even more complicated. A month later, I'd be dragged to a PTA meeting with my parents, and in would walk her father, the Israeli ambassador, with 9 or 10 other men in suits behind him. And do you know who else was at our school? The Palestinian ambassador's kid, the Lebanese ambassador's kid, the Egyptian ambassador's kid. We had kids at our school whose families were at war, and these dads came to a PTA meeting to educate the teachers about how you educate children whose families are at war. And I'm a 9-year-old in the room that day, and I know, oh my gosh, I'm going to learn Hebrew and Arabic, and someday I'm going to broker peace between Israel and Palestine. Obviously, I failed at that. But I literally began to learn Arabic and Hebrew as a 9-year-old kid. And in February or March of my 4th grade year, 1981, we got a special visit from a woman named Mrs. Sadat. She was married to a guy named Anwar Sadat, president of Egypt. And in the middle of a civil war, she had a dream one night. If I could just get small children to commit to peace, we could end war around the world. And she had this vision. If I could just talk to as many little kids as possible. She had an idea for an assembly, and she had a friend named John Denver. She said, I'll drag John Denver and he can sing with the choir. And I'll tell my story, and we'll get all these kids to commit to peace. And so they came to my school when I was 9 years old, and he sang with our choir. Yo, I was as tall as John Denver at 9. I have pictures to prove it. But imagine this light-skinned black girl meeting Mrs. Sadat. What do you think she looked like? Me. I was looking at a woman who looked just like me for the first time. And I'm listening to her, and I want to be her. Do you know, she just passed away during the pandemic, and she lived her entire life advocating for peace. She would share her story, and afterwards, 3 of us were chosen to have lunch with her in John Denver. I got to hang out with Mrs. Sadat and John Denver at 9 years old. And here was the first question she asked the children, us the 9-year-olds. How are you going to change the world? And I raised my hand and I said, I'm learning to speak Arabic and Hebrew, and someday I'm going to broker peace between Israel and Palestine. And Mrs. Sadat that day pointed at me and she said, you, Erin, are a world changer. Not you will change the world if you go to Princeton or Harvard. Not you will change the world if you get straight A's. She said, you are a world changer. And 4 years later, I would be asked to give a speech about Dr. King. And I read about his life. This young man who skipped 8th grade and went up to high school. This young man who took the college entrance exam at 15 years old because Morehouse needed some more men because all the black men were at war. Who entered college at 15 years old. Do you know, both Dr. King and I went to the University of Pennsylvania. He went to Kosher Theological Seminary, but he also took classes at Penn at 19 and 20, so did I. He would go on to Boston University to get his Ph.D. Guess where I met my husband? At Boston University. My husband, who's from Tacoma, Washington. We met at Boston, which is where he met Coretta. When I think about my own journey and the journey of Dr. King, one of the things for me that always grounded me as a young person thinking about him is he was willing to live so deeply that he was willing to give it all up. I came back to America for college by myself at 18 years old. And my plan was to get a law degree and go back to Europe. And I knew by the end of my freshman year of college that kids who looked like me deserved educators like I had had. And I called my parents and said, I'm not coming back. I was willing to give up everything for love. Dr. King loved this country so much, he was willing to sacrifice everything. I want to share with you some of his words, just so we can pull him into this space. And I love this because the panelists communicated this so well, but one of the things he said is people fail to get along because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because they have not communicated with each other. How often do we not even speak to our neighbor? You know, in the Netherlands, it is tradition you say hello to every person you pass. Doesn't matter whether you know them or not. So I have always done that, and people, when I went to college in Philly, I would have men following me. Because if you said hello to the man, it was like an invitation. And I'll never forget this older black woman said, honey, you're not from here, I'll give you. I said, I'm not. She said, you can't be. I said, that's just how I was raised. And so I have continued that to this day. Look people in the eyes and say hello. I dare us in this moment, and you heard that from the panelists, we have got to build community with one another. And that requires looking at people and getting to know their names and realizing that we have so much more in common than we have different. I love being able to speak other languages. I go to Mexico every year and spend about 4 weeks there, and I only speak Spanish, and we go to a small fishing village, and we are just among the people. I think we have limited ourselves so much in this country with one language. Yep. And those who are able to speak more than one, are open to the words. You have already heard a piece of this letter from Birmingham jail, but I want to read more of it because I think especially right now as we look at this country, there are a lot of folks in white evangelical spaces who would say right now, I'll just speak about Minnesota, why are y'all out there causing so much harm? Why are you being so rambunctious? Just be quiet, just wait your turn. Just wait your turn. Peace will come. And Dr. King got that kind of a message in Birmingham from a bunch of pastors. Good people. And here is a little piece of his response. Moreover, I am cognizant of the interrelatedness of all communities and states. I cannot sit idly by in Atlanta and not be concerned about what happens in Birmingham. I cannot sit idly by here in Tacoma and not care about what's happening in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Or Chicago. Or LA. Or DC. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice. Everywhere we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Never again can we afford to live with the narrow, provincial, outside agitator idea. And this is so important to my brothers and sisters, my siblings who are immigrants. This is especially for you, to our indigenous siblings. Anyone who lives inside the United States can never be considered an outsider. We are only as strong as all of us seeing ourselves as siblings, as family. And I want to close with this. This is probably my favorite speech from the mountaintop. It's probably my favorite piece of a speech because it really calls all of us. Don't wait. I get to talk to lots of students. I did 5 assemblies this week. I have at least 4 more this next week. It's my favorite season of the year to talk to. I talk to elementary, middle, and high school students. I love it. But one of the things that I tell them is don't wait till you're 18. Don't wait till you're 25. Be 9 and decide you're going to change the world. Right? Be 13 and change your community. Be 17 and run for office. Right? Don't wait till you're 40 if you're 30 right now. Like tomorrow is not promised to you, and so I want to challenge you to live today, be a leader today that we need. And here's what he says. Deep down in our nonviolent creed is the conviction there are some things so dear, some things so precious, some things so eternally true that they are worth dying for. And if a man happens to be 36 years old as I happen to be, some great truth stands up to the door of his life, some great opportunity to stand up for that which is right. A man might be afraid his home will get bombed, or he's afraid he will lose his job, or he's afraid that he will get shot or beat down by state troopers. And he may go on and live until he's 90, but he's just as dead at 36 as he would be at 90. The cessation of breathing in his life is merely the belated announcement of an earlier death of the spirit. A man dies when he refuses to stand up for that which is right. A man dies when he refuses to stand up for justice. A man dies when he refuses to take a stand for that which is true. So I challenge each one of us, chaos or community. When you look at Minnesota right now, you can either see chaos or community. What I see right now is a lot of community. What the government would love for us to see is chaos that requires the Insurrection Act. They would love to bring more violence. But what I see is community. I see people who are learning, oh my gosh, my Somali brothers and sisters are my brothers and sisters. Did you see at the rallies, the Somali people brought out their samosas, they brought out their pastries, and we're handing them out. Let's be that for our brothers and sisters, our siblings here. Let's be that. Let's be the manifestation of community. And I guess I would end with this. If you have not read Dr. King's last book, Where Do We Go From Here? I really want to encourage it. He was a hopeful man, but he was not pie in the sky. And he also knew this thing is hard. And he was discouraged. And he'd been working so hard for this thing. And so I don't want us to pretend that this thing is easy. Right? Our Black Panther brother said it really well, that we have to be willing to fight for the peace that we want. It's not going to happen because we sit around and post some great things on social media. It's going to require sacrifice. And when we think about the Montgomery bus boycott, it was the longest boycott in the history of this country. Over a year. People were uncomfortable for over a year. We don't like to be uncomfortable for an hour, let alone a whole year.
5 minutes.
Right? 5 minutes, yes, Paul.
5 minutes.
Real talk, we have got to be willing to be uncomfortable. We have to be willing to die for this thing that we love. And I'll end with this. I have always believed that love means calling us higher. But love is about speaking truth, and so there are people who think I don't love this country, and I tell them, you have no idea what I've sacrificed to remain here by myself for 20 years without my family. You have no idea what I have given up. With my Ivy League college degree, being a teacher in Tacoma for $30,000 a year. Right? Like you don't do this to get rich, right? And so my love for this country is so deep that I am willing to invest in her, but I'm also going to call her higher. I think to love a thing means celebrating her when she's doing really amazing things and also critiquing her when she's not reaching her full potential. And so I dare each one of us to have the courage to love this country. And maybe first love one another. Thank you.
So far, right? Has this not been fulfilling and loving and welcoming and everybody in here, you know? So real quick, I was told that if folks look up under their chair and find a blue raffle ticket, then you
Seriously?
have
What?
won, you and many other folks.
Oh my God.
Here. I'll tell you what to do with it. Come up here. You have won Ramona Bennett's new book, Fighting for the Puyallup Tribe. Now let me tell you what you're going to get. On your way out when you leave, you can stop by the table out So we got some winners. Folks trying to take, I think I saw a couple of folks. So hey, yes. So on your way out, okay, Brother Paris got a book coming too. What was that? Oh, the table is right back there where they're holding up T-shirts for Conversation 253's table. So when you're on your way out, stop by the table, hand them your raffle ticket, and you will get your book, Fighting for the Yala Tribe by the
Nice to meet you.
Ramona Bennett.
Excellent. Okay.
I've been trying to do it all afternoon, but you've been so busy,
Oh,
and
yes.
the program was
Excellent.
Absolutely. Thank you, sis. We always appreciate you. So real quick, we're going to move on to our Social Justice Award. I know there's a whole bunch of people here to celebrate those that you know who are receiving that award. So it's my honor to invite up Miss Eva Bowman, who will be presenting our Social Justice Award. Awards plural. Real quick, Eva is a 20-year member of the Conversation 253 and a retired public school teacher.